morning, Ken. You're on the air.
Good morning, Patty. How are you this morning?
Fine, thanks. How about you?
Pretty good, sir. It's been a while since I've called Open Line, so good to see you back. I'm glad you survived the telegram, Kelly 10.
I did survive it. I made it through, actually in fine style, but I'm happy I did survive. I was worried on the start line, man, with the heat, gotta say.
Yeah. Well, I understand you did train for it, so you didn't just hop in the last minute, so I guess you got yourself well prepared. The fact that you finished it and managed to survive, that's good stuff. Congratulations.
Thanks very much, Ken.
Okay, I was kind of busy this morning. I wasn't going to call till later this week on the fracking issue, but the call from Bernice Hancock from the West Coast involved in the by-election there, and your comments too, were kind of prompting me to want to call and perhaps take a little bit of an issue, friendly issue, with a comment you made to her with respect to UNESCO, because I don't know if you realize or not, but you're giving the impression that this other side, because you keep referring to the two sides, and by the way, there are two sides on the fracking issue, no doubt, and I'm sure you're aware of which one I'm on, but they're not two equal sides. But when you refer to the other side as those that are anti-fracking, coming up with boogeymen, so to speak, and you made reference to the UNESCO issue. Mm-hmm. And I just want to, I don't know if you're aware or not, perhaps you are, perhaps you're not, but this UNESCO issue and their concern about the fracking over on the West Coast is not some idea that's been fabricated by the West Coast Fracking Awareness Group.
They said nothing definitive on the UNESCO status whatsoever. I followed it very, very closely. They were asked a question by the anti-fracking group. The comment that was passed was used as, in my estimation, absolute boogeyman.
But I can give you the sources where it was actually a UNESCO official who last May actually contacted Ottawa, a gentleman by the name of Guy Dibonnet, who is, I understand, in charge of North American heritage sites, who was actually officially contacted Ottawa, expressing concern about fracking in or anywhere near Gross Mourne. So all I want to say to you, Patty, and because I'm taking a little bit of an issue with you,
that's fine.
Is that, sure it is, I know it is with you, but it's not something that's been fabricated by this other side, by the lesser side in this debate. This is a real issue that has been brought forward by UNESCO. They have had official contact with Ottawa. In fact, they are calling for a buffer zone. So I just want to make the point, in case people get the wrong impression here, that this is some fabrication by the West Coast Fracking Awareness Group.
The correct impression was it was put in their ear by anti-fracking groups on the province's West Coast as to what was about to happen potentially with fracking on the West Coast of Newfoundland.
Well, I can't say for sure.
There was no fracking ongoing in that. Well, I know for sure it is because they told me. I followed up on it. They were approached by somebody here. I don't know who. They wouldn't tell me. And they were told there was going to be fracking in the park. And when they were set straight on that, then their next comment was they needed to be a buffer zone. There was no plan to frack anywhere in that park. And as far as I could tell from the map and the proposals put forward by Shoal Point and Black Spruce, that there was no plan to even infringe on what UNESCO would suggest as a buffer zone. Well, so I do consider it a boogeyman.
I understand, but my point still stands. This is not a fabrication by the other side. This is, in fact, and the fact that somebody from Newfoundland, and it may well be somebody from the anti-fracking group who might have contacted UNESCO, but they don't just take a bargain from anybody. They don't just listen to anybody. When they heard about this, obviously they took some action in terms of contacting Ottawa, and they have officially since then called for a buffer zone to make sure that there is no fracking anywhere near. So I just want to simply make the point it is not a boogeyman.
But isn't that their position on fracking as a concept as it pertains to every country and region on the face of the earth, as opposed to actually putting the UNESCO heritage status in jeopardy?
Is it whose position? I'm not sure who you're talking about.
Well, the person from UNESCO, when they talked about fracking, they have that as an actual position of their group. So is it... I mean, but yet, when I pushed them on it, they never made a definitive statement on any jeopardy of UNESCO status based on infringing on a proposed buffer zone and or drilling or fracking in the park.
Well, I beg to differ. They did make a definitive position that they do want to be a buffer zone, and they are concerned. They haven't made a statement. They've made official contact with Ottawa, probably with this government, expressing their concern about any fracking plans anywhere near Gross Mourne. So I just want to make that point that they're not making up stuff. And you keep referring to the two sides, Patty. I want to just say I see something quite different. When I look at Tom Marshall or Minister Daly or the CEO of the Black Spruce Exploration, and then I look at some of the people who I know fairly well on the other side of this province who are part of the Fracking Awareness Group, I don't see two equal sides here. And I'm sure you're quite well aware when it comes to the Environmental Protection Act in this country, and they have these this environmental protection panel set up to look at different projects as to whether they should proceed or not and make sure that they follow environmental rules. I dare you to go do a little bit of research, and I know you will, to look at the composition of some of those panels, and you will find that that the vast majority of the people on these panels are former industry people. So when we talk about the two sides here, those who are pro-fracking, which tends to be big oil companies and governments, and those who are against fracking, they're not two equal sides. It's a
I portray them as different?
Pardon?
Do I speak to them in different tones or
No,
themes?
not that.
I don't think so.
But when you say there are two sides, you're almost, and I know you don't really mean this, but it comes out as saying, as if you have the belief that these are two equal sides, well-resourced with exactly the same motivations. And the motivation of Black Spruce and the CEO is to make money. The motivation of the people who I know on the West Coast Fracking Awareness Group have no ulterior motives. They're simply concerned about their community and the potential impact of fracking, which, by the way, I don't think there is enough information on yet, on their environment and on water. So they have a very legitimate, non-personal, non-selfish attitude towards why they're doing this. There's a big difference in the two groups, is what I'm really trying to say here.
Yeah, and I've actually been very conscientious of not trying to treat them any differently, given the fact I've acknowledged at length that there's legitimate questions to be asked, even though I think there's vast amounts of information available currently to make decisions on this front.
Sure.
You talk about stacking panels. The government may indeed do that, and proponents may indeed do that, but same thing with the anti-fracking group. When they have information sessions, they're the furthest thing from. They have sessions that are stacked with people who are opposed to the concept and the process of hydraulic fracturing, and that's up to them.
That's fine, but they're doing it for a whole different reason. Their capacity to stack any panel is quite different. If they stack a group in terms of giving an opinion to the public, it's not the same as government and industry stacking a regulatory body, which is going to make the final decision. So again, it's two different sides. It's a David versus Goliath. And I guess just two quick things, because I know this is going to end pretty soon, just to say this, that whatever happened to the precautionary principle? Because in my view, I mean, that's a principle that governments and scientists and medical people should normally follow, where unless something is proven way beyond the shadow of a doubt that it's safe in all respects to human beings, to the environment, etc., then you shouldn't proceed with it. And I think all the information research about fracking has not proven beyond a shadow of a doubt exactly what the implications of fracking are. And the other thing I'll say, the last thing I'll say, Patty, is, I mean, I get so angry, which is the reason why I really wanted the phone, is this government has got to be the most hypocritical bunch of people, and I know that's typical for politicians and the political system, hypocrisy. They say the road to power is paved with hypocrisy. But I mean, this group of people have reversed themselves on so many things. They've gone from Tom Marshall going to a public meeting with a bunch of black suits behind him, waving papers saying, we got the truth here, until they got rejected, to doing, first of all, an internal review, and now because they're in the middle of a by-election, where I understand they're in a distant third place, now they're going to do an independent review. Come on, Patty, you and I know what's going on
Well,
there.
of course, the timing is all going to be what it is, and they use timing to their benefit whenever they see fit, and that's all parties of all stripes. Ken, we've run out of time, but I always appreciate your time and enjoy the conversation.
Thank you so much, Patty. You have a good morning, sir.
Same to you, Ken. Bye-bye.
Take care, buddy. Bye.